everyone. Welcome to Firing Your Inner Critic. Woohoo! How many of you guys are a little bit tired of listening to maybe a voice in your head that isn't as kind and loving as you would like it to be? Right? And that inner critic stops us from having the relationship that we would actually truly choose to have with us. Right? It stops us from giving ourselves the love that we actually could be giving ourselves. Right? The peace, the joy, the infinite possibility, right? Everything that's actually possible for us. So tonight, we are going to, if you say yes and allow it, finally fire the inner critic that's telling you that you are anything other than magnificent. Does that sound like fun? I love it. And there are thousands of people joining us on live stream from all over the world. So hello, everybody out there on live stream. Hi! Welcome to Mount Shasta. Okay, so let's begin. Thank you guys for coming. We have some beautiful, local, wonderful people here. Hi. Hi. Hi, everyone. Hi. 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 How are you? So let's begin talking about that inner voice and that inner critic. Okay, so how many of you guys have voices that go on in your head that you really don't want to listen to? Right? It's like, dude, where did this come from? Right? And who put this voice in my head? I mean, I remember being, working these tools and processes and hearing these thoughts and these ideas that I was like, wait a second, I didn't choose to think that. Where did that come from? Or I didn't choose to feel that way. Where did that come from? So that was my first inquisition with these voices in our head, right? So first, let me just premise this with this question. What if the voices in your head are not actually your voice? Yes. Right? Did you actually choose to consciously think that thought about you? Not really, right? So what if these voices in your head are a little different than what you would actually choose, all the thoughts that you would actually choose to have for you? Does that make sense? Okay, so anybody have an example of something that goes on in their head that isn't very nice? Let's talk about that inner critic, right? Okay, so let me get you the microphone. Here you go. Here you go, my love. Yes.
My sister thinks I'm too emotional. She doesn't want to spend time with me.
Right? So you have this voice in your head that's like, you know what, you're too emotional, okay? How many of you guys have had a similar voice in your head that you're too emotional, too sensitive? Anyone? Well, wait, look, just keep your hands up for a second and just look around the room like, okay, it's an epidemic, isn't it? Right? Too emotional, too sensitive, too soft, too, yes. So we are all very highly sensitive people. We are all very highly sensitive beings. And that's actually a gift. So what else do your guys' voices say in that sweet, cute little head of yours? Here you go. Do we have that microphone on? Mm-hmm. No. I don't think it's on or something. There you go.
I'm not smart enough to do what they're doing.
Ah, yes. How many of you guys have thought I'm not smart enough to do what somebody else is doing at one point or another? Okay, we can look around the room. Ah, this is very curious, isn't it? Thank you, Donna. Somebody else like to share these inner critic voices?
I'm a stranger in a strange land. But on the positive side,
Yes.
I don't belong on this planet.
I love it. How many of you guys have had thoughts or feelings, ideas that you didn't belong here? Right? Now, it's okay to have that recognition like, hey, I'm not really from here. I'm actually from, right? Other places, other spaces, other dimensions. I'm not naturally, originally a human. Like, it's okay to have that awareness. But the inner critic would say, you're not loved because you're not from here. You don't fit in because you're not from here. You can't have success because you're not from here, right? So it would tell you all kinds of other things. Versus, yes, I don't belong here. I'm from a whole nother dimension. I'm an angel on earth. I have nothing to do with any form of limitation or judgment. Yes, this is such a good day, right? So that's a little different than the inner critic voices that would tell you that's a very bad thing to not belong. Hi. Oh, welcome, little fairy sprites. Oh, thank you for joining us, the fairy sprite family. You guys are so cute. Did they just walk out of Middle Earth? Like, what's that? Tilo shit. Oh, I love it. Or did you just come out of the center of the mountain and that's where Middle Earth actually is? Curious. I love you. Okay, so what else does that inner critic say? Yes.
I'm not good enough.
Yeah. How many of you guys have had that thought or belief at some point or another? We can look around the room and everybody has their hands raised. Okay, so we have an epidemic here, yeah? Right? So what if these beliefs, thoughts, inner critic voices aren't actually personal to you? Right? So far we had 3 people bring forth, I'm not good enough, right? Or I don't belong, right? Or I'm too sensitive. And every single person in the room went, oh yeah, I've had that thought. I've had that inner critic voice, right? Oh, well, of course, the sprites need some water after their travel from Middle Earth. I'd be a little parched too, I understand. Right? Okay, so the first thing to begin recognizing, because what we want to do is create a space between you and that inner critic voice, right? If you are the inner critic, you have no capacity to choose anything else because you think, I am not good enough. I am not good enough. If you begin to actually have a space between that inner critic voice and you can begin to look at it and go, wait a second. Did I actually choose that? And you can actually make a different choice. Does that make sense? So the first step in beginning to recognize that these inner critic judgmental voices are not actually yours is beginning to look at how, wait a second, every single person in this room thought that, and believed that, thought that and believed that, thought that and believed that. What if these inner critic voices are not actually personal to you? So would you guys be willing to accept that these inner critic voices are not actually personal? Oh my God, wait, they're not about you? Yeah, take a breath and breathe that in. Oh, doesn't that feel good? Oh, it already feels good, doesn't it? Woo! Okay, another breath, breathing that in. Okay, cool. So with this work, right, you're the only one that's powerful enough to stop you. You're the only one powerful enough to set you free. So we kind of ask questions and assist you guys in making different choices, right? To where you're like, oh yeah, oh, it's not personal. Okay, do I, choose to have that inner critic voice not be personal? Well, yeah, that'd be easier. So yes, right? And it's you that's actually changing your own consciousness. Does that make sense? So is everybody cool with flying that way? Okay. And then what we can do is just take a breath to clear the energy and release it, right? Because we don't have to function that way. We don't have to be that. Okay, so these inner critic voices are not actually yours. So where do they come from? Our parents and their parents. What was that?
Well, I just said one big choice. I mean, that's where it all starts, I think, is your parents.
Yes. Okay. So this is the current collective consciousness. Okay. If you kind of brought your awareness out into the world, how many people of the 7.7 billion people have believed that they weren't good enough?
Well, let's see.
I would say most, if not all of them, right? So how many of them have believed that they were too sensitive? There might be a little bit of a lesser population to that, but that's a big idea. Or that they don't belong, right? They don't fit in. They're not loved because they don't fit in. Oh my gosh, it's everywhere, right? So what if you, as a beautiful, amazing, magnificent being, right, are completely aware? I love how the Sprite steals the show. What'd you say? I was with the Sprite in Middle Earth. What? Okay, so what if you as a being are actually, you have inside of yourself this amazing capacity for infinite awareness? Okay, just take a breath. Would you guys be willing to breathe that in? Yeah, like, oh, okay. So I am aware. So, what if what's happening is that with that infinite awareness, you're aware of the 7.7 billion people broadcasting this information, and it's coming through your consciousness all the time. Is it fun to pick up on everybody's limited beliefs all the time? Okay, but why am I smiling?
Because you know it's the truth.
Yes, because if you actually get to a space of the full recognition of what this information is and that it's not personal to you, it can fly right past you. And you have no identification with it. And it allows you total freedom. Does that make sense? Yes! Yes! So would all of you guys like to be completely free from that collective consciousness? Right? Of all of the limitations and ideas and beliefs and that everyone in this reality, collective consciousness, most people in this collective consciousness are broadcasting. Would you guys like to be free of all that? Yes? Are you sure? Live in total freedom? Oh my gosh, not identify with any of it? Oh, take a breath and breathe that in. Cool. So let's begin peeling back the layers, shall we? Okay, so what is it that you have identified yourself with? I love that you bring that up, my friend. Because I have an entire level 2 2-day manual on actually deprogramming the current ego so that you can actually live in your consciousness instead of its foreign consciousness. Now, I don't have time to do all of that tonight, okay? That's a 2-day course that we have coming up this weekend. So you're picking up what I'm putting down, aren't you? I love it. I love it. All right, so what is it that you have identified with? The ego. Right? So what is the ego? Yeah? Here, wait, let's get microphones because then the live streamers can hear you. Wherever they are. There you go, sweetie. Straight from Middle Earth, folks. Now,
Hello.
hanging out with the fairies and the devas. She has come to us live.
Aloha.
I love you.
The ego is the aspect of us that it's basically our sense of self, and so it's like the part of us that's like, this is who I am, my sense of self.
Yeah.
So the idea that we're not supposed to have an ego is like, get rid of that. Like that's not good, because like the ego's literally our tool to be like, I'm a human, you're a human, like we have boundaries. But so many people get caught up in like the me, competition, like all this stuff, like better, worse, you know, like just tearing each other down, like my ego wants this, so let's destroy. And it's like, no, that's not the point. Don't do that. So the ego is a tool for navigating through this earth plane as, being like, I'm a soul and you're a soul and we're in human form.
So I love it because you're speaking to the separate programming of the ego, which is that destruction and that it's all about me and that self-centeredness and that basically that saboteur, that inner critic is actually the ego. By the way, the inner critic is actually the ego. Okay, yet we can reprogram that into the space of truth. We can actually reprogram it into source energy so that the ego becomes a function of source and no longer a representative of separation.
That's so cool. Woo!
Yes,
Let's be
yes.
ourselves.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes,
we can
yes.
do it.
Now, the
That's
thing
beautiful.
is, the ego is a tricky, slippery little monkey, okay? The sprite from Middle Earth has left the building. He's walking out on the ego. What can we say? Smart little kid, right? So the ego is a tricky little thing, right? Because up until this time in human consciousness, you may have identified yourself with it and as it. And that's a huge problem. Does that make sense? Right? Because if you are that separate ego, then you're just a victim to your circumstances. You have no choice. You know, and it's very sneaky in the way that it functions. But don't worry, we can get you out of it. Right? I've got tools and processes that really help unwind where you have misidentified yourself as that separate ego.
Like a fairy godmother.
I will be your fairy godmother for 4 whole days. Yes. I love it. You're so cute. Oh, that's fantastic. Okay, so you guys just want to dive right into it, huh?
Yeah.
You guys are not messing around. Shasta is like, I am going for it. Okay, so we have that separate ego, which is that inner critic. And what if we could actually reprogram that ego into functioning from source energy? How would that be? Would that be amazing? Would that be awesome beyond measure? Oh, thank God. Take a breath and just breathe that in. So how I've begun to identify this is the ego actually functions from a foreign consciousness, not your consciousness. So we begin looking at the difference between, well, what is my consciousness and what is the ego's consciousness or foreign consciousness, right? And there being actually a difference between the two. So, what is your consciousness, you guys? When you are being you and you're like, I fucking know I'm being myself, what does that feel like? What is that for you? What do you notice? Yes.
Feel empowered.
Yes, you feel empowered, right? So what does that mean? You're not in a victim state. You're not being affected at all. You're like, how many of you guys also relate to that? That your consciousness is like this empowered consciousness. Would you agree with that? Yeah. Cool. What else? How do you know what is your consciousness? Yeah.
I feel doubtless
Yes.
about myself, about everything.
Yes, there is no doubt in your consciousness. Your consciousness is like it's source consciousness. It's truth. It's like, we got this. It's, like, there is no doubt. You know. Yeah.
I feel flowing.
Yes.
Like I'm in flow
Yeah.
and playful.
Yes!
Available for play.
Yes!
And at ease.
Yes! How many of you guys relate to that? That when you're actually in flow, you're like, yeah, what's up?
Right. I feel like a badass, actually.
Yeah, like nothing can stick to you, right? There's no separate ego here because you're just like, everything that's coming, it's like a something, just something's right out of your field, right? So being in flow, letting it all just flow through you, right? So would you guys agree that that is your consciousness? You guys are good at this. We have some, yeah.
Well, I feel that the most in my consciousness when I am living my dreams.
Yeah, and I love that he used the word being, right? Because when you are being your dreams, you are living them. They are here and now. That is your consciousness. Way to spot that. Yeah, baby. Yeah. High five. Yes.
I just feel comfortable,
Yes.
and at ease, right? Comfortable in your own skin. When you're actually being you, kind of like what she was saying. I didn't use the term badass, which is much cooler, but yeah. Same deal.
Yes, right? You feel at ease, yeah? You feel like just cool with you in life, and you don't have to have a belief about it, like, oh, life is really cool right now. You're just sitting in it. You just are it. And it's all easy. And there's not this separate self-identify that's telling you you feel uncomfortable about yourself. You shouldn't be too much. Oh, you're being too little. Oh, well, what if you flipped yourself upside down and backwards in order to be something else for somebody else's world because love is outside of you? Have you purchased any of my lies yet? Right? Because that's what the ego does. It literally presents these lies that are not true to you and says, hey, are you willing to believe in this? And if you know what is your consciousness and what is foreign consciousness, you just sit in your consciousness and go, this is funny. I could never even come close to imagining that I had anything to do with that. And that's how it feels. It completely feels foreign. Isn't that cool? Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay, so how else do you know your consciousness? Yeah.
I feel like I know when it's my true consciousness and not like the conditioned ego, when I can be really present and like flowing with my breath and just like aware of the space around me and trusting that everything is unfolding perfectly. Being like, I am on the right path, like affirming it. Being like, I know I am, and like I'm divinely guided. Like trusting that you're in alignment.
Yes.
Just like coming back to that in the present moment. Just being like,
I love it. And I love that you also approach this from I'm sensing my surroundings, like I'm in the moment of now, and I'm in that divine perfection. I am that divine perfection, right? Oh yeah,
the gateway.
girl.
It's the portal.
It's the gateway, isn't it? It's the gateway. It's the gateway to living in this truth. Exactly. Okay, so how else do you know your consciousness? Yeah.
You mentioned in passing that we don't feel a separate self and that we don't see love out there, so unconditional love.
Yes! Hallelujah, right? And so source energy, right, is love. Does that make sense? Like, are you guys with me? Source is love. So what are some names for source? Source, love, what else? God, universe. What's that? Spirit. Great spirit, thank you. Nature, what's that? Creator, creation. Mama. Okay. So, yes, these are all names for source, and these are all names for love, right? So, you already are one with source. Would you guys agree? Okay. So, quantum physics actually tells us and shows us that we are one with source already. We don't have to have a belief about being one with source. Sorry, it's already happened. Okay, and it's already happening right now. So you are that love, and everything is made of that love. Would you agree? Okay, so that love is always here, ever present, and is absolutely unconditional because it is what already is. Would you guys be willing to receive that and have that be the truth that you come from because you know it's true? Yeah? Okay, take a breath and breathe that in. So the foreign consciousness of the separate ego wants to tell you that love is outside of you, that you are separate from love, that love has conditions. But your consciousness, in your consciousness, as your consciousness, love does not have conditions. Love is what already is. It's effortless. Ever present, always there, has always been there. Isn't that cool? Ha! Ha! Isn't that amazing? Look at you guys. Never ending, unconditional love you are. Isn't that amazing? Yes, that is your consciousness. Yeah, so how do you know whether it's your consciousness or foreign consciousness?
Because it's magic, 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 magic love. Magic, 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 magic love. Magic, 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 magic.
Yes.
Love.
Yes. Okay. You are magic. Right? So when you are allowing and being that magic, you are being in your consciousness. The truth for you is that everything is possible because everything is made of infinite possibility. Sorry, but it's what already is. Right? So you know you're in your consciousness when you're allowing yourself to be that magic and to view life from that magic. Because life is crazy magic. You are crazy magic. But the key is you can't access that crazy magic if you're mixed up in the ego's foreign consciousness. Right? Because the ego's foreign consciousness says, no, we want everything to stay the same. Limitation is real, right? So if you mix yourself up in the ego's foreign consciousness, it keeps you from being able to live in this flow, in this magic, in this love, in this wonder. Does that make sense? Cool. Okay. Yes.
Pure joy.
Yes. So, how many of you guys be willing to accept that your consciousness is pure, unbounded joy? Yeah? Would you guys be willing to receive that? Yeah. Okay, take a breath, breathe that in. Actually, let's do a little statement. I now accept that I am pure, unbounded joy. Pure, unbounded joy is my consciousness. Pure, unbounded joy is what I am. Take a breath and breathe that in. Shall we do an unconditional love statement? Yes. I now accept that unconditional love is what I am. Unconditional love is my consciousness. Anything else is foreign consciousness and has nothing to do with me because I didn't choose it. Take a breath and breathe that in. I choose unconditional love. There you go. It's going to be a little hard for the ego, the inner critic, to exist after that clearing. Right? The ego goes, I don't know what to do under these circumstances. What do you mean you're unconditional love, right? What do you mean everything's made of love? I love putting the separate ego out of a job. It's my favorite thing to do in life. Right? Ego, you're fired. Okay, so how else do you know that it's your consciousness versus this ego's foreign consciousness? What else are the telltale signs for you? Yeah. We want to hear what you have to say.
If something's causing separation, then usually that's the ego and not your true essence. Because usually it's coming from insecurity. So if something's causing separation between you and somebody else, then it's not actually your heart's truth.
Yes. And it's not actually your consciousness.
It's conditioning.
Exactly. Yes.
Just no white noise, like quiet,
Yeah.
right? Nothing else exists. It's just you're in it. That's the thing I noticed. That serenity,
Yeah.
which I found recently thanks to a friend. So.
Aw, that's awesome. Yes, the serenity, that deep love and surrender into life force energy, where the experience of feeling that flow and that love becomes actually much more valuable and important to you than any sort of mind idea. It's really quite a wonderful state to recognize that you are. So, good job, my friend. And good job, my friend. Good job, my friends. Way to facilitate each other into a world that is actually, real and true for us, right? Because our consciousness is it's where we came from. This separate ego and its foreign consciousness didn't exist. So we actually have a right to exist without it. Can you feel the depth of that and the power of that? So would you guys be willing to breathe that in and know that it is your right to not function from separation? Whoa, I'm getting the angel chills right now. Take a breath and just breathe that in. And I'll ask it in a question. Is it your right to not function from separation?
Oh yeah.
Is it your right to not believe that you are the separate ego? Heck frickin' yeah. Right? Okay, so one more question along that line of questioning. Was the separate ego actually here before you got here?
Interesting question.
Do you maybe have a remembrance of you from other planets, other dimensions, other universes of magic and glory and wonder? Do you maybe have some awareness of that? Yes? So in your awareness of that true self, take a breath into your true self. Was there a separate ego? No, it wasn't there, was it? It wasn't there. Straight from Middle Earth, you heard it first. Right? Exactly, right? So you existed prior to separation and prior to the separate ego's foreign consciousness. So it is your right to be you, the you that has been untouched by the separate ego, the you that knows no conditioning, the you that lives in infinite possibility, in that magic, in that wonder. The you that travels through all kinds of dimensions and spaces for the fun and the joy of experiencing everything that life has to offer in this massive multiverse. Yes. Do you actually have a right to claim your true self? Yeah. And also claim, hey, you know what? Separate ego, love you, babe. Okay, it's been real, it's been fun. But actually, you have nothing to do with me. Right? You were here before I actually arrived. So I definitely have a right to embody who I am, which knows nothing. No mistaking identity, that we are the same. Can you feel that? Oh, there's some good juice coming in. There's some good clearing going on. You feel the angels and source energies being like, oh, they have asked. You know, ask and you shall receive is actually real, right? So let me just ask you. I know that I have that right because that's where I like to play. So how about you? Do you actually have the right to know and be a version of you that has never experienced or believed that you were the separate ego? Is that a yes?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
You might want to tell yourself yes?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh yeah.
Are you sure? You gotta be sure. Okay, so take a deep breath and breathe that in.
I mean, come on, I already fired my ego.
Now, I ask that because it helps clarify and clarify and clarify. And if you feel like, well, is anything really going to shift? No. So you've got to be the one that goes, fuck yeah. In whatever way you want to. You don't have to use the F word. But I thought that was fun just now, wasn't it? I really don't think that spiritual classes should be boring. You know, they should be a comedy club. We should laugh hysterically at the silly, completely illusionary, total bullshit we've been doing for like freaking gazillion years. That's not even real or true. And then we should just enjoy our time together. Right? Yeah! Yes! Yes! Woo! Okay. So, the ego's foreign consciousness versus your consciousness. Okay, so a few pieces to begin to open up the doorway for you to completely recognize and not function from it, okay, is, okay, just listening, all right. So, sorry, there's a bunch of people facilitating the class right now. I'm like, angels, line up. One at a time, thank you very much. Okay, so a few different key pieces that will really assist in the ego not taking over. How many of you guys have felt and watched the ego somehow just all of a sudden you're in the center of it? It's running things, right? You're being affected. You're blaming someone. You're jealous. You're all of a sudden, and you're like, whoa, 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 okay? Okay, my next question to anything that happens automatically is, did I choose this or did it happen automatically? Does that make sense? So did I choose this? And here's how I like to put it. Did I choose this based on Source's infinite menu? Right? Or did this occur or happen automatically? If it happened automatically, is it actually yours? Right? Why would it be yours? It happened automatically. How could you claim that as I am jealous when you are not the one that actually chose? Let's see, based on Source's infinite menu, I know I'm going to be really jealous of my partner right now. Right? Did you actually do that? No. So that foreign consciousness has slipped in. And it is actually living life through you. Okay, so what gives? This is really gross, wasn't it? It's gross energy, like, exactly. But it's actually, you know, what it does. So you are one with Source. Am I right? So you are life force energy, connected to life force energy, flowing with life force energy. Would I be correct about that? Yes. Okay. So as you're being that life force energy, you okay? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Let me know if I can help in any way. Okay, good. Just keep breathing. We'll just let it go. And we'll just, walk out of here in total bliss and be like, fuck it, that was amazing. Let's have some more, yeah. Okay, so. Okay, so you are life force energy. Would you guys agree? Okay, so we're all life force energy. How does the ego actually have any power? It doesn't have power unless you mistake it as you. Oh, feel that coming up. So, would you guys be willing to take a deep breath and release? Oh, that energy. That's nice and cloudy and breath. Let it go. But guess what? Good news is, it's not you. So take another breath. And go ahead and say, thank God it wasn't me. I thought I was a jealous bitch. I believed I was a judgmental asshole. Oh, thank God that wasn't me. Right? So that's what happens, though, right? Okay, let's laugh about that for a second. Let it go, guys. Let it go. It's all right. Wasn't yours. Thank goodness it wasn't you. It's a hallelujah, come to Jesus kind of moment. There is good news. And the good news is that you are not anything you've ever thought or believed or ever felt automatically. Yes! You are not that. That is not you. How could that be you? You didn't choose it. Ah, thank God, right? Phew. Simple case of mistaken identity. Oh my God, it's like you left your credit card, your driver's license, your passport, your social security number, and you like put it out on the internet called the ego. You identified yourself as it, and it went, cool, there's plenty of room for me to live inside of you. I can steal your life force energy and make you affected around every corner, searching for you instead of being you, right? Oh, that was really brought up a lot again, didn't it? Let's take a breath. And feel just that lower vibration and just let that come back in a low. It never existed that way anyway. It was just simply an experience, guys. Experiences can shift. We can collapse that experience. Yeah, just because the truth is the truth. Right? You are source energy. Everything is source energy. All of the ego's foreign consciousness experiences that you've been having within its programming, are they actually real? Yeah. They're not actually real. Another breath. And thank goodness, you don't have to believe that they're you anymore. Could you imagine? Never, ever automatically believing an automatic belief that you didn't choose? Never automatically feeling the automatic feeling that you didn't choose and identifying with it? Now, the thing is that there are 7.7 potential around number of people broadcasting this idea that themselves is the separate ego. So there's a lot of source power that's being powered into this illusionary experience and consciousness. Does that make sense? So us as beings, we are antennas, right? We receive information and we broadcast information. Does that make sense? How many of you guys have thought about somebody and they've called? Right? You can tap into anything and kind of know what's going on, right? So as you are sending love to somebody, they go, wow, I was just thinking about you. Yeah, that's because I just sent a current of love your direction. That's awesome that you're aware, right? So we are sending information and receiving information all the time. So right now, you have about 7.7 billion broadcasters believing that they are the separate ego. So the foreign consciousness is like, it's being broadcasted everywhere. Now, nature isn't broadcasting it. Thank God. Oh my God, humanity would have not made it this far at all if the tree was like, I am so superior, and this other tree is so inferior. I'm still looking for the love that is outside of myself. So I keep reaching my branches even higher, but my neighbor was planted 5 years before, so he gets all the light. It's his fault that I'm not loved. I can't even live my life. I don't have any access to life force energy because of this tree over here. So if you would just cut down this tree for me, that would be great because it's its fault. Okay. Oh my God. Could you imagine? Gosh. Okay, would that be like the I'm so glad. Okay, let's just thank God that that's not what's happening. Thank you, God, for nature. Thank you for being this clear vessel that is a simple reflection of Source that just shows us who we are. Because if it was tied up in the separate ego, wow. You know, it can only be funny. Let's not go there. So, gosh, I just got into a comedy skit. Where shall we go from here? Ancestral collective consciousness, right? So the other thing about this ego kind of taking over your experience, and this is a huge trick, you guys. It's like one of the biggest tricks, one of the biggest secrets to never letting the ego take over. Would you guys like to know what it is? Are you sure? Do you really want to know? Really, really? Really, 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 really? Okay. The ego uses any form of belief to take over your consciousness. That's actually how the ego gets in. When you say, I am not good enough, the ego goes, I got her there. Now it automatically comes up, see, I'm not good enough. And then your boyfriend says something to you like, you look really nice in that dress. And you go, oh, he's saying he didn't like my dress yesterday. It's all automatic, right? That's the programming acting out in your life without you actually even choosing it. Because you have identified with belief. Holy, take a breath. Yet, would that be another belief? Right? It's so sad. It's so sad. So then you're in a sad experience, but did you actually choose the sad experience from Source's infinite menu? No. So that's actually part of its system. It's a web of belief. And if you believe in the web of belief, then it can just take over. So what if there's another option? Okay, are you guys with me? Maybe. I've sort of challenged the entirety of your reality. Right? Woo. Okay, so we talked about did this come up automatically or did I choose it? And what do I choose based on Source's infinite menu? Okay, so what if you can ask that question and claim any chosen perspective? Anyone. I am magic. Yes! Right? What do you choose based on Source's infinite menu? I choose to celebrate everything and everyone. Cool. That's fantastic. That is your consciousness and your chosen perspective. That's actually not a belief because it is a perspective that you are choosing for the joy of experiencing the perspective. And it's yours. Does that make sense? Isn't that cool? Here, wait, let's give you the microphone. And I'll get some water.
I think I've personally been getting wrapped up in, like through the realization process, like getting really emotional because of the current state of like the mass collective everything. And like, I know I'm aware of it because it's being experienced through me, but like, I get overwhelmed because even when I heal it in myself, well, I guess when we heal it in ourselves, we like tap into healing it for the collective, but I'm like really working on like focusing on my own thing, like this channel thing here. So I'm like not getting wrapped up in like, oh, well, like, I don't know, just everything.
Well, let's just kind of look at that piece. How many of you guys are, you know, like looking at the world and going, whoa, you know, Donald Trump and whatever, right?
And the Amazon on fire.
And the Amazon on fire, and there, you know, there's, okay, yet.
It's okay.
Right? So how, when you look at that, how are you automatically feeling about it?
Sad.
Okay. Did you consciously choose from Source's infinite menu to feel sad on purpose?
Maybe.
Well, just now, did you go, let's see, based on Source's infinite menu, in regards to this, I know what I would like to choose in this moment that would bring me the greatest experience within myself. I choose sadness. No, you didn't actually do that, did you?
No.
Right? So that was actually the mistaken identity. That's you having a mistaken identity about who you are, and the ego is in that place, in that foreign consciousness, automatically making you sad about the world. Now, if we all, as conscious beings, sat in sadness about the world, does anything change?
No.
No. Does that vibration help?
No, but
No.
I do.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Welcome to the ego's foreign consciousness. Okay? And it feels like, but that's caring, but that's loving, but that's...
Transmuting, right?
Yet, what if your frequency of joy would literally level up the entire planet? What if you being fully aligned with Source and joy, being completely present but standing in Source? Like, is Source energy sad? No.
Accepting.
Right? And if everyone was in Source, would any of this stuff be happening? So if you keep yourself from Source, does that actually help?
No.
Yes! There you go! That's how it happens, right? So that's why this work is so incredibly important. How many of you guys realize and know in your heart that you are meant to be one of the people that is changing the world with your being? It's already happening, right? So we all came here to actually be a vessel of Source. To shine the light and the love, no matter what. Because Source love is unconditional, right? So when we go into that's really terrible and bad and we judge it and have beliefs about it, it doesn't actually assist in the unlocking of it existing. Does that make sense? Oh, I'm so glad. Sometimes people can fight me on that. It's very skillful somehow. I'm like, but it's easy. Look at the vibration makes you go, bleh. Like, is that helping? Is that helping? How much lower would you get to like complete grief? Should we go into rage and anger? Well, no, none of that actually assists. The idea is to shift you into your consciousness, which, my friends, is source consciousness. Take a breath and breathe that in. So when you accept that you are source consciousness, function from source consciousness, you are the fully realized pretend human being, because you're not from here, on planet Earth that is actually changing all of humans' consciousness. They do not want to be stuck in a separate ego. Right? They made the choice for the initial separation and have been suffering from it ever since. So you're the one, you're the light, you're the chosen one, you're the choosing one, you're the one that chose to come here to actually be this. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
I do have a question. Is it all about the difference between being and believing?
That's a really great question. What do you know, my friend?
I'd say the more you can be,
Yes.
the less you have to deal with this crap about believing and shit.
Yes! Ow! 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 Boom! Tss. Mic drop. Yeah. Yes. 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 And what if there was a version of self-awareness that was God awareness of self that you're here to bring? That actually takes the programming of the separate ego, undoes it, and reprograms it or deprograms it into its true service in source, which is a loving, kind, caring voice that just gives you a sense that you can be this illusionary separate self while you are also one with all of creation.
Well, you are everything, right? I mean, being
Exactly.
part of the source, you are everything, so you can be everything.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Yes.
I feel
Love
like-
us. We're so amazing, aren't we?
Yeah, we rock.
Yes.
Yeah, keep
we
it going.
rock. Keep going.
Yeah, I really resonate with what you just said, sir. Yeah, because I think a huge thing that I went through for a period of time was trying to be like, I have to change all of my beliefs. Like, I have so much work to do. When really, like, if I were to just become present and, like, set the intention to be a channel for, like, my true essence, there'd be no stressed out spiritual healing work to do, idea that we're broken type of thing, you know?
Okay, so here's a huge trick. You guys want to know another huge trick? What's the difference between a belief and the truth?
It's not like you have to do anything. It's not a doing thing. It's as long as you can be, you're in the truth.
So the truth is true for you, everything, and everyone. It's true for absolutely every cell, every molecule, every plane, and every universe. That is what is actually true. Isn't that cool? So, good news, you guys. More good news. The angels and Source downloaded 6 principles that Source actually functions from. Oh, how easy, right? And these 6 principles are all based on quantum physics. They're actually the way that energy functions. So these 6 principles can bring you out of self-imposed beliefs and into, okay, so if I function from these 6 principles, I can stand with Source as Source and allow Source to create through me, because I'm actually in alignment with what is actually true and real. See, over here in the belief world, it's very hard to create things because you're literally in a walled cell. Like, hello, like your magic wand is broken. You're like in a jail cell of belief going, why can't I get this thing to work? I know I can manifest anything, but what the heck is going on here? Well, all self-beliefs, right, that aren't true for anything and everyone, they keep you illusionarily separate from Source, which means, can you have access to work with all of Source energy? Not from belief. You're cutting yourself off somehow. You're selling yourself short. Does that make sense? Because you're believing in an illusion, you're putting energy towards the illusion, you're not in alignment with the way the universe actually works, right? And the way that things actually are. Isn't that cool? So we are going to dive deep into what these 6 principles are and actually how to function from them in our 4 days together. And activating these frequencies, these energies, and this, your consciousness, your chosen perspective of standing with God in this way during our 4 days together this weekend. And oh my God, it's gonna be fun. Oh God, we have such a good time. It's like a comedy skit, but you're getting your entire world just all the awareness, all the tools, everything that you know, if you knew it, you could be fully standing in Source in the presence of 7.7 billion people broadcasting a bunch of stuff that's not real, and just not identify with it. It's funny because in most webinars they say, you're going to learn X, Y, and Z. I go, you're going to unlearn X, Y, and Z. You know what I mean? It's like we are unlearning everything that's not us, and then we are exploring how it is that from our chosen consciousness and from being and standing one with Source energy, how we choose to interact, how we choose to be, what that looks like in government and what that looks like in businesses and what that looks like, right? So as we stand with Source in the 6 principles, we get to rearrange the entire world. Yes. And it's so good. Okay, so Nicole, how much more time do I have with them? Okay, perfect. Okay. So, what have we learned tonight so far? The truth? All in a 1 hour and 20-minute session. Imagine what 4 days together actually brings, because truthfully, I'm just scratching the surface. Because we've got to, we've all had lifetimes of this indoctrination into this, right? So, and there are things that you're functioning from and believing, like we, talked about the sadness, and it's like, oh my God, wait, that came up automatically. Oh crap, that's the foreign consciousness programming. Oh, that's actually the ego. That's where I misidentified myself with it. My choice, based on my, consciousness, would be to hold so much infinite joy for life that nothing else could exist. Right? Doesn't that feel more resonant with your consciousness in regards to that, right? So there are all these ways in which you're unconsciously functioning from that. And it's creating suffering. Because even then you're like, oh, I've been processing and it's sad. And and it's weird, but it feels kind of spiritual. Like you're like, I'm really caring, and this is really meaningful, and I'm crying my eyes out. Please, God, help humanity, right? And God's up there going, hello, right? Just come up here and be from here, right? But there are places where this is affecting every area of your life. How many of you guys are in a relationship where you go into some reaction in regards to your partner? Okay, guess who that is? The ego and its foreign consciousness, right? Have you guys ever woken up in the morning and been like, God, I feel like shit? Okay, did you choose to think that thought based on Source's infinite menu? No, that's the ego programming, right? So, and in regards to that, if you believe that belief, right, because you're indoctrinated to believe beliefs because they're such a good idea. Just kidding, right? But if you believe that belief that, oh my God, I wake up and I feel like shit, right? Your whole day you feel like shit. And that is actually the ego affecting you with your own energy. Okay, so every time you put energy into the foreign consciousness of beliefs, you're asking it to control you. You're asking it to affect you. You're asking it to make you the victim. And the craziest thing is somehow it's found its way into your world and, acted as you enough to where you actually believe it's you. Like you believe that feeling, that thought, that idea, that I feel like shit is actually your consciousness. So we kind of have a bit of work to do. A lot of unlearning to unlearn. Right? So I somehow have been given the gift of being able to engineer this whole thing. It's crazy. I am such a weirdo. A brilliant weirdo. Truly, like, holy crap, Zoli. I'm astounded by myself. I am. How I can actually deconstruct the entire thing and then get you aligned with your choice into an entirely new life is completely beyond me. It's like I was literally born to be like, humanity, here you go. It's wild. It's so much fun. So that's what we're going to be doing during our 4 days together. Okay, so do you guys get how much the ego is affecting every area of your life? That little buggard. Okay, so from my perspective, you guys, it's actually time to face it all and stand for you. Right? To stand with Source, as Source, in the face of it, and choose your consciousness and unravel its programming and no longer function from it. And have that separate ego program not exist for you. Be already done. So that's where we're going over the next 4 days.
Rikka?
Yes.
So you're asking about the differences? Artificial intelligence, belief system, automatic program.
Yes.
Divine intelligence, choice. You. You know, so it's divine intelligence.
Artificial
Intelligence.
That's exactly it. Yes, foreign consciousness, your consciousness. And artificial intelligence is kind of an interesting way to put it because you put energy into the artificial intelligence for it to be intelligent. Right? Except if you believe that you are artificial intelligence, we have a big problem. Right? Exactly. I mean, and in life, like we hear this every day. Oh my God! Oh really? Today's just terrible. It's just, like none of that is actually real. My boyfriend broke up with me. My heart is broken. My life is over. Everything's done. Right? They're all Valley girls. But literally, we hear the ego being people taking over their bodies and actually like living in their consciousness and them mistakenly believing it's them every day here. Right? So in order to get you guys out, you know, we got to work it. We got to unwind it. We got to unlearn it. We got to get you into a whole different experience to where you're like, yeah, I know this. I got this. I know all of the ways in which it's programmed. I know what is not me to its entirety. You cannot, I will not mistake myself as it ever again. But it takes quite a bit to get you there because it's amazing at how incestual it is. Incestuous. That's the word I was looking for. Yes.
This continues what you're saying about everybody that come from ego. Like you were saying, when I disagree with my spouse, I'm coming from ego. But what if I'm disagreeing with her coming from her ego?
Then it's two egos battling it out.
Am I just supposed to say, agree with her?
Well, here, let's look at that situation, right? Yeah. Okay. Here we are. We're in the center of an ego battle, right? So what if the ego does the thing of, you know, either I'm going to agree or I'm going to resist? And what if both of those actually weren't your consciousness? What if they were the ego's automatic programming? Because if you look at it, it's like, wow, did I consciously choose to resist my spouse right now? Based on Source's infinite menu. Let's see, based on Source's infinite menu, with all of the plethora of amazing things that I could experience right now, I think resistance. Like that didn't happen, did it? It wasn't a conscious choice.
I don't know.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. But you do.
If we never resist, then we never change. And, you know, like if somebody's beating somebody, you got to resist. You got to walk away. You don't just say, oh, yeah, I love you. Keep beating me.
So I understand that it feels like this is the only option and it's really real and this is the way it has to be. Right? I totally understand that because I came literally from the center of that programming in addition. Right? So my spouse would even say something to me that wasn't nasty or whatever, and like, oh, I like your dress, and I'd be like, he's saying he hated my dress yesterday. Like I was all ego. All the responses that I was having were reactive, belief-driven, right? And it allowed me to be controlled also by these beliefs. I didn't have choice. I was not good enough. I better hold on to this person because if they leave me, I will always be alone because I think I deserve to be left. Right? So there's so much that goes along with that. But if you really begin examining these experiences that you're having where it automatically happens and just simply ask this question, did I choose this or did it come up automatically? right? And you begin to go, wait, you know what? It actually did come up automatically. So what if there was a different option? Like, what if I could actually make a different choice, right? And in the beginning of these tools, I called this my second choice, because I was so reactive that I would cause these fights in my relationships. And they would say something and I would react, or I would blow up, or I would do this, or I would get hurt, or I would get my feelings hurt, or I would, oh my God, the layers of being affected by this was crazy, right? But all of that would happen. And so it would happen automatically, and I'm like, wait a second, like, what is my second choice? Because I didn't know what else to do. And then I would choose something else. And so we had this thing called, could I make a second choice? And that's, you can see how all the tools that I'm teaching now have been refined for the past 14 years within myself and the people that I teach, right? So, that being said, addressing but is anything going to change? If somebody's beating somebody and I don't resist, then what happens, right? So what if from source energy, you could be fierce in your love? So fierce that just your presence will not allow the fight to even exist. Or, say it was already happening and you walk up to them with such fierce love, with this energy of not on my planet, and they literally stop in their tracks. And the whole thing changes. See, when you are no longer in this world of the automatic and the ego, right? When you're no longer here, but you're living in source energy, and you're functioning from choice based on Source's infinite menu, you have powers that are magical. You have ability to bring forth possibilities that are outside of what the resistance and the alignment and the beliefs and the ego can ever deliver. And you have that within you, which is really cool.
Right. I'm also considering maybe I don't want to be around somebody who comes from ego all the time.
Yeah, so did you choose that from Source's infinite menu?
I think so.
Okay, so here's how I defined it for myself, because I'm a human too. Am I human? Well, sort of. But know that all this stuff I've worked on me, right? To be like, okay, let's work this. What am I coming up against? What's happening, right? So my position with myself in regards to this is that anything, from my position, this is the way I look at it, anything that I didn't think, what would I like to choose based on Source's infinite menu? I say that statement, and then I choose. That's what I identify myself as, nothing else. Because I know I actually chose it. The other stuff, I'm not so certain. And I love myself so much that I would never want to misidentify myself based on some collective consciousness that came up, or based on some programming. I want to know my true self, and the way that I know my true self is to choose for me based on Source's infinite menu that has nothing to do with programming. But what do I choose based on Source's infinite menu? Well, if anything was possible here, because it is, I choose this. And that's what I know myself to be. So if I do not say that statement, I do not identify with whatever I thought I chose.
Totally.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
So that may give you a little bit of working room to begin, playing with it. So even right now, do you want to play with what would you choose in this moment based on Source's infinite menu, to kind of feel how that would feel for you? You don't have to, but you can. Or the room can.
I mean, I choose to be free and happy,
Yeah. Yeah, so there you go. Your consciousness.
And loving still, no matter what, you know.
Yeah, totally free.
And
That's-
nice and friendly and
Exactly. Right?
all
Totally
that, but
free.
I don't.
Totally happy.
I don't
totally
think I
loving.
choose to still live with her at this moment, and that's where I'm at, you know.
Well, that can absolutely be true.
Yeah.
Right? For me, I want to really be clear that my side of the street is like crystal clear, so that I can be like, I'm really sitting in source, and I'm really aware that this is actually not my path. So for me, I really sit with myself, and here's the thing that I know from working with so many people and myself, because I've worked with over 150,000 people all over the world, unlocking them from the ego.
Right.
Right? And so I do this work on myself every day, you know, all the time, which is so fun because it's so much more free. So, what you choose based on Source's infinite menu is happiness, joy, love. So that's what you get to identify yourself as.
Right. And I feel like I've been spiritual bypassing my unhappiness
yeah.
living with her. I've been
Yeah.
trying to be fierce love and yeah, it's all good, baby, no matter what, but it's not always.
Yeah. I totally understand that, 100%. Yeah. So one thing I know is that I cannot trust beliefs. Right? Because beliefs are not real or true. They're part of the illusion. And beliefs actually create an experience. They're a lens that you are experiencing life through. Right? So if you have a negative belief about someone, how many of you guys have somebody in your life who are like, oh, this person is so negative, I hate being around them. Like, let's just, right? Okay, so that belief, okay, that belief literally creates the experience. The negative belief creates the negative experience. So what's really wild about me, like I'm so into freedom, like I am a freedom fierce warrior. I am like the infinite possibilities, like I will stand for nothing other than God, like pure, unadulterated, empowered, completely not affected, power of the universe kind of style, right? So I know that never to trust beliefs because they're just a lens, and also never to really trust the experiences that you're having. Now that, I know, is a big ol' huge clearing. In order to get free from that, you're like, what? But we can do it, okay? And that's what we get to do together over this 4 days. We get to unlock those experiences that have been created based on the belief so that you're free. Your energy's free, right? It's no longer in negativity. It's no longer wrapped up in this ego foreign consciousness. It's actually free to be flowing, to be joy, to be all of this. Even in the presence of all this, you're like, why would I ever give myself up? This is what is. I never have to diminish me. For me, at the moment, in myself, it's actually impossible for me to resist. Like, because I've done, all the work on the beliefs and the experiences, like, I am so much life force energy, I can't wrangle myself into a resistance. So that could be available for you, but we do need to do more work together to, to open up that freedom if you choose, for sure. So, amazing, right? Oh God, thank God there's a way freaking out. Oh, for me, I was so exhausted. Oh my gosh, you guys should have met me 15, 16 years ago. You should look at pictures on the internet. And I've got some videos leaked out too. I'm just kidding. was a joke, and he didn't even laugh. Okay. I'm just kidding. I'm totally joking. But if you looked at pictures of me, you would see like a hurt, abandoned, alone, disempowered. Anytime that anybody even wanted to contribute to me, my feelings were hurt because I didn't do a perfect, right, or good enough job. Like I was literally like inside the center of this whole thing. But the beautiful thing about working with people and that Source has given me is I'm not like Eckhart Tolle where all of a sudden I sat on a park bench and I was just being, infinite light and presence, right? I've actually worked every angle of this matrix, right? So it gives me the tools to be able to go, I totally get you, and let's do the first step. Okay, how's that? Okay, now let's do the second step. Okay, how's that? Okay, wait, we've got some, okay, what's that? That there's some disagreement there. Oh, it's just past emotional, stuff, like pockets of energy that's stuck there. Okay, so let's unravel that. Okay, now there's freedom there. Okay, let's take the next step. Like, it's kind of amazing what we can actually do together, how we can just step by step pull you out of it, because I did that for myself. So it's really fun. So, I love being free. Are you guys like a total advocate for freedom?
Yes.
What's that? Yeah, sure, Trissa, that'd be great. Do you want to share on live stream too? Can you come up on stage just because you're gonna share and you're here and welcome to the stage, Trissa.
Well, I just wanted to share with you and to all of you that before I did this work with Rikka, I was super miserable in my marriage and like the biggest ego in the world I was married to, and I was like seriously lost because I have kids, and if I leave him or if I have a divorce, I'm still stuck with him because I have kids. So it was such a stuck place. And I worked with Rikka, and I chose me, and my life transformed. My husband just is now my dream man. Like, he's so amazing, so loving, so present, like the opposite, because I chose me. So when you do this work, if you choose, you can go on a different journey, but it is possible, and it does happen that the people around you change. Like every time I go home, I work with Rikka, like in a live setting, I go home and everything elevates once again and elevates. And even my husband, even before coming to this trip, Andrew told me like, honey, like it's so much different now. Like we're in such a different place. And for, oh my God, like you don't even know. Like, yeah, it's completely amazing how even, not just my husband, like I have other people in my life that's like, and they too have shifted. And they didn't have to come here. For me, just choosing, it was that 4-day event that Rikka has been talking about that completely changed my life. So.
And it's happening this weekend, strangely in your town. And strangely, you either saw the flyer or you somehow crossed one of these beautiful coaches' path to be able to be introduced to this journey. So we all get brought together. We are all meant to be together. And so these callings in our heart for this greater experience of ourselves, this greater knowing of who we are, this ability to stand so much in Source and watch the miracle of Source change everything around you. To know that your choice changes everything, that your choice is a contribution to the entire world. It's a pretty magical experience. And you almost don't even believe what's possible. But all of us and all of you guys on live stream, we've all been put on this path to actually be introduced to this material. You're meant to be here, You wouldn't be here if you weren't meant to be here. In fact, anybody that wasn't meant to be here couldn't come. You know what I mean? It's a part of it. Yeah. Sometimes we have somebody who's like mistakenly here and then they just run. They're like, oh my God, I thought I was in an accounting conference. What am I? Oh my God. So, is there anybody else that would like to share on live stream, like what this work has done for their life? Do you want to share? Okay. Come on up so they can see you here too.
Oh my God. I absolutely just love Rikka and everything that she stands for. And the main thing that she stands for is for love, which she's such an amazingly, profoundly genius teacher about teaching you how to stand for love. And I'll tell you how she does it, because she fully embodies it and she just is it. She just is so much of an amazing role model, and she's been an amazing role model for me since 2011, when I was sitting in South Africa watching her on live stream on YouTube. I've been there that whole time, and then I came to the States in 2017. I literally had $900 in my wallet and my plane ticket and my deposit for the Life Transformed coaching program, and she helped me to find the courage within myself. She didn't give it to me. She helped me find it within myself to learn how to choose wildly, from Source's infinite menu, because my choices before them were like scared choices, like could I give myself permission? I need to ask permission from everyone else. And now I'm like, okay, I'm choosing it. Anyone else, get out of my way. So honestly, if you're thinking or feeling or experiencing or wondering, can I choose this? Just freaking choose it. Just let go of all your doubts. Just choose it and get ready for the ride, because it's a really amazing ride. I've been in the States now for the last, how many years is it now? 2.5 years, and my life is amazing. I mean, I got an all-expense-paid trip to Mount Shasta by magic. Like, my life is really just magic after magic after magic after magic. That's why I said magic. It's really magic. So that's it.
Oh, yes, yes. It's so wild, too, because that, like, can I choose it? Should I choose it? Like, if you look at you're the creator and your consciousness and your energy basically creates your life experience, then those energies maintain the ego's foreign consciousness. So what can show up? Something within the ego's foreign consciousness. Does that make sense? Like, you're the one putting out that vibration. You're the one broadcasting it. The universe is infinite, right? Infinite possibilities. It responds to your vibration. So with that, you're like, I'm trying to get somewhere, but I'm getting nowhere. I'm working my ass off, but I'm not getting successful. You know what I mean? Like, it's just it's 2 steps forward and 2 steps back. So we've got to bring you into a whole different vibrational world that you actually are, and, that is your true self, that is your consciousness, and then teach you how to function from that, right? Unlearning all this other stuff. So that's what we do together. Isn't that cool? Absolutely amazing. So for all of you guys out there on live stream, this is available now. You can go to lifetransformclass.com, which is on the page that you're watching, lifetransformclass.com. You're going to be with us on live stream, tuning in to this amazing Mount Shasta event and getting your whole life transformed from the comfort of your pajamas. But I'm psychic and can see how cute your little PJs are, so... So you guys can go there right now, like it's happening right now. So just go there, register, join in, feel in your heart like you have been brought to this journey in this moment to actually make this choice. Right? I wouldn't be in your life if you weren't meant, and you wouldn't be on this live stream if you weren't meant to actually take a step in this direction. So just go to lifetransformclass.com and you can join us for 4 whole days together. Unlocking the entirety of the illusionary matrix and really stepping you into who you are. It's phenomenal. Yay!